going, guys? Welcome back to October Reads. And today, I decided it's been far too long since we've been to the Bronze Age, so I decided to visit Marvel's Chamber of Chills. So this is my first time getting a chance to read Chamber of Chills ever, so it was definitely a lot like the House of Secrets, House of Mystery line over at DC, where you have about 2 or 3 stories per issue in the anthology horror series. And this one, of course, was no exception. So this one had 3 different tales in it. So the first one was Moon of Madness, Moon of Fear, and that was written by a writer named George Effinger, which I'm not too familiar with, I'll be honest. And then the artists on that first arc were Craig Russell and Dan Adkins. The second one was They Wait in Their Dungeon. Writer Stan Lee and an artist, Russ Heath. So I thought it was kind of funny, nowadays, like, Stan Lee would either be like your main event at the end or the first writer to get you hooked in the book. Instead, he was right in the middle here. And then the last story is called Delusion of a Dragon Slayer, and that was by Jerry Conway. And then Sid Shores in that story was adapted from Harlan Ellison's book. So I thought that was kind of interesting to have both like Stan Lee, Harlan Ellison, and all those other names wrapped into this one book. So I thought that's one of the reasons why I decided to pull this one out. Moon of Madness, Moon of Fear actually may have been my favorite story in this whole thing. So basically, it starts off with a group going camping, and they go and, they're just having a good time like most kids going camping would. So one of the guys leaves, and usually in every horror movie or whatever, he's going to be the first to die, but instead he actually hears the victim of a wolf attack ask for help. And of course, it's the middle of the night, of course. So he decides to go help this guy out. And he brings him back to the camp with about 4 total people. And they can just see the wolves are waiting in the bushes and all of that stuff. So they're like, well, maybe we'll wait till sunup and all of the wolves will go away. So they actually somehow make it without getting killed by the wolves. But the ultimate, M. Night Shyamalan twist that happens at the end of this first story, when the sun comes up, the man actually goes from being a man to turning into a wolf. So when he turns into a werewolf, he actually kills and maims all of the campers during the day. So instead of being, your werewolf who turns in to, the werewolf from a man at night, he's the exact opposite. He is a wolf who turns into a man in the full moon at night. And he doesn't know any better when he turns into that man. So I thought that was kind of a cool, first story to have in this. So the second story was the Stan Lee written story. And it has one of the scummiest, worst wardens you'll ever read about in a prison story. So this warden is the lowest of the low. They establish this by, you get to see him taking a guy to a gas chamber, and the guy has a last request. He just wants to write a note to his mother before he gets killed, and the warden tells him they're not going to waste the money to give him the pen and paper to write this note. Probably the other really bad thing he does is he commands one of the prisoners to serve him dinner, and he gets soup for dinner, and he tells the prisoner it tastes like dishwater, and he makes the other guards go get a whole bunch of dishwater and force it down this guy's throat so we can see what dishwater tastes like. It was around this point where the prisoners, they decide to rebel against the guards and the warden, of course. And as the warden is running away, he only has one flight of stairs he can run up to. And that flight of stairs leads right into the gas chamber, which he killed that guy earlier in. So it kind of leaves off with this black and red panel of him just shouting no, and obviously they're gassing him. This guy doesn't stand a chance. And then the third story, which is the Harlan Ellison story, that was honestly, that's shockingly probably my least favorite. I was expecting big things out of it. We have Jerry Conway adapting it, Harlan Ellison having the original tale, of course. But basically, it's a guy who has a wrecking ball getting dropped on him, just like a normal average Joe. He's walking down the street wearing a suit. Wrecking ball falls from the sky, and as the wrecking ball is hitting him, it cuts to a scene of this He-Man looking guy on a pirate ship, and he's the captain of the pirate ship, and he has this talking sword that's kind of telling him, he's in heaven basically. And so this guy, he has this Herculean physique all of a sudden, and he's the leader of the ship. and he thinks he's in heaven, but then immediately, as things would do in a book called Chamber of Chills, things go south, and there's a storm, there's some coral reef, the boat hits the coral reef, it kills all of his crew and drowns them except for him. And earlier the sword promised him he's gonna, get a chance to find this girl and get with this girl. Somehow, when he crash lands on this island looking for stuff to survive on, he actually bumps into a girl, but the twist is she's with some sort of like Bigfoot / Yeti creature of some sort. And it kind of looks like, I can't tell if he's supposed to be attacking her or they actually are in love, but nonetheless, our main character goes and kills this creature and decides to get with this girl, but then the dragon from the cover finally shows up at the end of story 3, and as he's swooping in for the kill, that's when it cuts back to like the real world, where the wrecking ball falls on the dude and crushes everything but his head and face somehow, and that's pretty much where this story ends. So Chamber of Chills #1, this one is actually a lot of fun. Like I said, I thought it was kind of weird how they paced the 3 stories. The first one seemed like it was the shortest, yet I enjoyed it the most. And the one that has the most cover time, basically, is at the very end, and then the Stanley's just crammed right in the middle. So I thought it was weird they paced them, and they, the Ellison one obviously probably had the most page count, which I didn't prefer. I wish it was a little bit more balanced, or they focused on 2 stories instead of 3, like in some of the House of Mysteries I've read so far. But I'm going to give this a solid 4 out of 5. I definitely recommend this one if you guys like the House of Mystery, House of Secrets on the DC side and that stuff like that. I definitely look forward to reading more Marvel Bronze Age horror as well as DC Bronze Age. So a lot of fun stuff in the Bronze Age here. So big thanks, guys, once again for checking out October Reads.